Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 13-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown. We got a really large slate here, so there should be no shortage of options in your lineups. On top of injury news that's to come, so it should be lots of value. Most likely going to lead to a stars and scrubs slate on these large slates, so going to have to dig into it, figure out the top plays on both DraftKings and FanDuel. If you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll be here all NBA DFS season long, breaking down these NBA DFS slates to help you guys become better NBA DFS players and help you guys win some money night in and night out. And if you are interested, you can go ahead and check out my premium packages. That's linked below in the description. You get access to all of my tools, things like my projections, core plays, advanced player metrics, team stats, summary, 4 factors, offensive half-court and putbacks tool, defense half-court and putbacks tool, offense transition, defense transition, etc. And my core plays, of course, as always. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night. Last night, Taylor Horton-Tucker just was really disappointing, so we're looking to bounce back from that one. Traditionally has been a very good fantasy point producer. We're going to get a big bump up in minutes with LeBron being back. So, yeah, frustrating, but we're going to move on from that one, and let's get into it. So, a game-by-game breakdown here. First game on the slate, we got Phoenix taking on Cleveland. Darius Garland listed as questionable. Mobley, Chetty Osman listed as questionable. Mobley, Collins, Exton, we know are out, so this is going to be some serious available minutes for this Cleveland Cavaliers rotation. If he's out, it's going to be Ricky Rubio, Denzel Valentine getting more minutes in the rotation for sure, and then we're going to be looking to some other guys here as well. Ricky Rubio, like I said, Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen should continue to see his minutes continue to climb after returning from injury. He's seen 35 and 31 minutes the last 2 times out. You're also looking to some Kevin Love usage as well. He's been kind of capped at his minutes, though, so I'd much rather go to Lauri Markkanen. And then, like I said, and these other guys are out. It's going to open up even more usage for Denzel Valentine all the way down to 3.5. He would become a tremendous play on both websites, I'm sure, at his very cheap price tag. On the other side of things, with this game, probably expected to be a blowout here. Looking at the Vegas lines overall right now, this game has a 209 over-under with a 7-point spread, so it's expected to be a pretty slow-paced game as well. Phoenix is expected to win it pretty easily. A little scary, really wanting to be targeting like a Chris Paul or Devin Booker or anyone on this Phoenix side on this big of a slate. Maybe a DeAndre Ayton at 7.4 because he's priced very reasonably in the mid-7 to low 7K range for a center. But other than that, guys, this first game's pretty ugly. And I'm really not getting excited to target it all too much. So just the Cleveland value. LA Lakers taking on the Indiana Pacers. This game right now comes in with a total of 218.5 with a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. Anthony Davis did end up playing last night. He's been battling some illness, though, and he really didn't look that great. And now LeBron's expected to return in this one, so I would not be surprised in the least to see Anthony Davis sit in this one. If that's the case, LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are going to get all the usage, and they'd both become phenomenal plays. That's just me assuming, though. If all 3 are in, it's going to be really difficult to really want to play any of these guys when they're priced up. If one of them's out, the other 2 become great plays. Karis LeVert's also listed as questionable. If he's not able to go, Chris Duarte is probably going to climb back in the starting lineup and become a very good play at only 4.1. And on FanDuel, I'm sure he's really cheap as well because he hasn't been starting, not getting that many minutes. You get a big minutes increase, a big usage increase, and he would become one of the best value plays on the slate. So certainly keep your eyes on that news. And, of course, if LeVert's out, that's going to give a bump up to Malcolm Brogdon, Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, the other starters in the rotation. Could be pretty significant, to be honest with you. So certainly keep your eyes on that news. Certainly keep your eyes on the Anthony Davis news. Next game on the slate, we have Charlotte taking on Orlando. This game, as far as the total right now, comes in with a 219 over-under with an 8-point spread in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. I was having a hard time finding LaMelo Ball salary. That's because I was on my FanDuel tab, and he's priced differently over there. He's a lot cheaper. So without having to transition here, I'll say that right off the bat. This is a tremendous spot for LaMelo Ball. He's a lot cheaper on FanDuel, though, so I like to play him on FanDuel a lot more. However, he's been producing at a high enough rate to where he's going to be valid on DraftKings as is. FanDuel just has him criminally underpriced over here, and he gets a tremendous matchup taking on this Orlando squad that's been terrible defensively all season long. Their team I've been really just trying to target any chance I can get. And really the only thing that's been a bit disappointing is they're so terrible they can't keep the game close. But they rank 29th overall in my advanced metric stats over here on Patreon on my defensive sheet. 28th in offensive rebound percentage, allowing a lot of putbacks. 24th in half-court points per play rank, allowing a lot of plays or a lot of points to be scored in the half-court setting. Then you go over to the transition stats. 27th in points per possession rank in transition. 24th in allowing transition frequency, and 24th in points per play rank in transition. So They've been terrible defensively. They can't protect the rim. They can't guard guards. They can't do anything. LaMelo Ball is an absolute fantasy point per minute beast. This is a real good triple-double upside spot for him. So I'm certainly going to have a lot of interest in LaMelo. Moving further along here, as far as anyone else outside LaMelo, it's going to be Miles Bridges as the second man up here. He's continuing to see his price tag decrease because he hasn't really produced, but once again, great matchup. So Miles Bridges certainly going to make sense to me on this slate tonight. Cole Anthony listed as out on the Orlando side, so that's going to open up Jalen Suggs minutes. He's also questionable, so Gary Harris is questionable. So Jalen Suggs, RJ Hampton, Terrence Ross could all see increase in minutes here. We've seen RJ Hampton just continue to absolutely crush. This guy's always been that way. When he was on Denver, he was the same way. If he gets the minutes, he's just going to crush from a fantasy aspect. And we're not worried about Charlotte, really, on defensively either. Both these teams are really bad defensively. So if this game could just stay close, it's going to be a really good game to be targeting. And one that I'm certainly going to want to get exposure to. It's just a matter of if it's able to stay close. But you're going to have plenty of value with Jalen Suggs and RJ Hampton, most likely, filling in here. And then, of course, you can go all the way down to Terrence Ross as well. Those three guys should really be able to have some big upside games if we do indeed get confirmation that Gary Harris is out. If Gary Harris is in, obviously that's going to keep them as not such good plays. But also Michael Mulder saw an increase in run with there being no Gary Harris. So he's another guy that could certainly be putting in your lineups. He saw 27 minutes last time out. Now keep in mind that game was a blowout, but just something to keep in mind. And then on the other side of things here, so we went over the Charlotte side, we went over the Orlando side, Charlotte side. Yeah, I mean, we're looking pretty good. Wendell Carter Jr., Terry Rozier, and if P.J. Washington returns, no, he's doubtful, so he's not expected to be in. Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward both going to be pretty good secondary options as well in this Charlotte rotation, so don't forget about them in your lineups, especially if you're not playing LaMelo Ball. The natural pivot would be to play one of those guys. Brooklyn taking on Boston. Next game on the slate, we have Jaylen Brown listed as questionable. He is on an injury management situation, so if he is indeed out, that's certainly going to be some big news as far as the overall total in this game. This game right now comes in with a 216 over-under with a 1-point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. If Jaylen Brown is out, Jason Tatum becomes an absolute tremendous play. Going to get a big bump up in usage. We saw what he's capable of with there's no Jaylen Brown out there. We know what he's capable of overall. It's just going to take away that guy cutting into his usage. And then, of course, we're going to have a lot more interest in Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Smart as well. So that's certainly very relevant news. And also, Robert Williams and Al Horford are both back in. So keep in mind, these guys are going to be kind of cutting each other's usage again. It does seem to be Al Horford that's a favorite for minutes, though. So if I'm leaning one way or another, probably would be more towards Al Horford. But Robert Williams always has a lot of upside. So those two guys, I just probably wouldn't play them in the same lineup, but you could certainly play both of them if you're playing multiple lineups. On the Brooklyn side, it's really simple. It's James Harden, it's Kevin Durant. They're going to soak up all the usage. I mean, these other guys, when both these guys are in, really aren't going to get much at all. When they're both in, they kind of conflict each other as well, though. They limit each other's upside. You could look to a LaMarcus Aldridge, a Patty Mills, possibly, that are getting more minutes, but these minutes just seem to be fluctuating all around the rotation for these other Brooklyn guys outside of Patty Mills, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. These other guys, it's like a little bit difficult to trust, but Bruce Brown, Joe Harris are both out. So, I mean, DeAndre Bembry should get more minutes. All these guys should get more minutes. It's going to become actually kind of easy to be able to trust the minutes for once, hopefully. We have James Johnson, Blake Griffin, both going to be viable plays. James Johnson's seen right around 30 minutes the last few games out. Blake Griffin, his minutes have been cut way down, so that's certainly something to take note of. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like this Brooklyn rotation from the secondary guys, they're just kind of like injury management loading them. It's trying to just keep them healthy for the playoffs. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting here from this Brooklyn rotation. So probably just want to stick to the guys with those consistent minutes. You can definitely go to a Bembry with all these guys being out, but that's my breakdown there. Chicago taking on Houston is going to be the next game on the slate. This game right now comes in with a 213 over-under with a 9-point spread in favor of Chicago. Chicago is expected to win this game very easily. Nikola Vucevic, possibility of returning here. So certainly keep your eyes on that. If he's back, that's going to cut into the usage of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and also probably make this more likely to be a blowout. Alex Caruso also listed as questionable, though, so that's another piece of news to keep your eyes on. That could open up some more minutes in the rotation from a secondary guard. More minutes could be filing down to a Kobe White. More usage could be going to a Kobe White, so that could be some big news and make Kobe White an absolute smash play. So yeah, that's how I would be looking on the Chicago side. On the Houston side of things, it's going to be Christian Wood. It's going to be Kevin Porter Jr. They're really the main two candidates for usage every single time they take the floor. If the game's able to stay close, there's a high chance it's because these two guys are having big games. If the game doesn't stay close, they're probably not having big games. And secondary options, Jayshawn Tate, Jalen Green, more so secondary options, as stated. So that's kind of where I'd be looking to in this game. Toronto taking on Memphis is the next game on the slate. As far as the total in this game right now is going to come in with a 220 over-under with a 3.5 point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. Expected to be a pretty high total in game, and Toronto traditionally is a very good defensive team, but I will say, so far in the season, they really have not been all that good. Looking at my defensive half-court putbacks tool and all that stuff, I know Toronto's really having that it's kind of a difficult time defensively. They're 25th overall in points per possession rank, 24th in half-court offensive rebound percentage rank allowed to given up, 28th in putbacks points per miss rank. So they're really not doing too good on the glass defensively overall. So I'm gonna like Ja Morant. I think that this Memphis team can keep this game close. Is the most important part of this. Obviously, with a 3.5 point spread, and if that's the case, the spread's going to. The game's going to stay close, and it's going to be a high total, so that's certainly valid. And we have to wait on this injury news. We have OG Anunoby, we have Dylan Brooks, both listed as questionable. That's certainly going to open up some more minutes in the rotation for both teams because they both play like 35 to 40 minutes. And we also have Achiawa listed as questionable, which is big news because if he's out, Ken Birch would probably slide in and get a lot more minutes. And as mentioned, Memphis has been terrible on the glass. I didn't mention Memphis, actually. I just mentioned Toronto, but just so you know, Memphis has been absolutely terrible as well. Memphis is dead last in the league in points per possession rank. They're 30th in the league. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what to tell you because they are bad. So Ken Birch would become a tremendous play, going to get a lot of putback opportunities. I also think Chris Boucher off the bench could become a pretty intriguing play as well. His minutes have been somewhat capped at times, but the bottom line is he produces at a very high rate. And if he's going to be out there, he can definitely put up some big games. Anthony Melton is going to continue to be out on the Memphis side, so if there's no Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain is going to become a tremendous play at his respective price tag. He's only 5'5". Had a big game last time out. Should have another big game here if he's able to get those minutes in usage. So I'm going to really like Ja Morant. I'm going to like Jaren Jackson Jr. as well, especially if there's no Dylan Brooks. And then, of course, Steven Adams could have a big upside game here because of how bad Toronto's been in the glass. Fast-paced game. Both sides here. Going to be a good game environment, so definitely a good one to target. Gary Trent Jr. gets a big bump up if there is no Anunoby. And then, of course, Siakam and Van Vliet at the top. Didn't mean to not include them, but they're the ones that have the most solidified minutes. They're the ones that have the most usage. They're just kind of the obvious plays, so certainly have interest in paying up for them in this sort of game environment. Next game on the slate here, we have Detroit taking on Milwaukee. Giannis is in. Everyone's pretty much healthy outside of Brook Lopez, who's listed as questionable. So he could be back anytime now. So certainly keep your eyes on that news. Kelly Olynyk continues to be out. Isaiah Stewart continues to be out on the Detroit side of things. So we're probably going to continue to see Luka start, she actually got a lot more minutes than I anticipated last night. So that's something to take note of. 17 minutes, and he probably would have gotten a lot more had he not been in foul trouble. So I think he's going to be a viable option here. It's just a matter of if he gets run off the court with this Milwaukee squad. But overall, I just don't expect this game to stay close. It's a 13.5 point spread in favor of Milwaukee. Detroit's banged up. I don't see how they're going to be able to keep this game close whatsoever, so it's going to make me kind of have a hard time having interest in this game. If I'm going to this game, I'm probably going to want to be targeting blowout minutes. So who would I be going to if I'm targeting blowout minutes? On the Detroit side, I really would like Diallo at 3-3. He's going to absolutely go off if he gets some time in blowout. This guy's a great fantasy point producer. He just needs more minutes. So he'd be one of my favorite options on the Detroit side. On the Milwaukee side, as far as blowouts, my favorite option would probably be Jordan Nwora, who is a pretty good fantasy point producer. Once again, he just needs run and blowout. And last time against Orlando was a perfect example. He had 26 minutes. He put up 28.25 DraftKings points at only 3K. Now he's up to 3.5, but still at only 3.5, if he gets blowout minutes, he could put up 30, and that's still going to get the job done for you. So certainly like Nwora. If the game turns into a blowout. If the game stays close, Giannis can obviously go off, but Giannis is priced so up right now. I don't think this game environment is going to be good enough for me to really be wanting to target Giannis. It's going to be too slow pace for me. I expect it's going to be blowout. I'm just getting a little nervous there. I'd probably rather go down to like a Bobby Portis or a Drew Holiday, the cheap end of these Milwaukee guys that get usage, because I just don't think this game's going to stay close. Miami taking on Minnesota is the next game on the slate. It's going to be 10,000 for Jimmy Butler. It's going to be a 212.5 over-under, and it's going to be a 2-point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. So certainly have interest in the Miami Heat side of things, because if the game's going to stay close, of course, that's going to make us like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, both usage beasts. Both kind of took a seat back last night a little bit. Bam Adebayo had a pretty decent game overall, 34, but still not the greatest, because Tyler Hero just absolutely went off, really dominated the usage. He put up 31 real-life points, so that's kind of an outlier. I do expect Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo to continue to be the number 1 and number 2 in this offense, but Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero are going to be digging in their usage at times. Kyle Lowry had a big game last night as well, so my method is going to be continuing to play either Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo in some lineups, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero in other lineups, and not Chris mix matching them because they're gonna have a hard time all getting there. Bam Adebayo, I think, is the one that's least impacted by all these guys because he's such a center. So regardless, he's gonna be getting his rebounds, his putbacks, all that stuff. But I think Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry are really negatively correlated. I don't think I know. It's just been proven. So yeah, I'm looking to play either Kyle Lowry or Jimmy Butler. Definitely don't play them in both in your lineups. And then on the Minnesota side, you have Karl-Anthony Towns, who's priced way up. And then you have D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. They're going to continue to be my favorite plays on this side of things. Once again, a little bit of negative correlation going on here because both pretty on-ball handling guys. But at their respective price tags, I think you can play them both in your lineups because they're just too cheap. So, I mean, no issues with going to both. Technically speaking, on such a huge slate, you're probably negatively correlating yourself, though, so I probably only want to put one in my lineups. That's really all I'm looking to. Peter Tucker continues to see quite a bit of minutes, and he's pretty cheap, so he's been producing pretty high rate. If you want to go to him, he's a decent punt option. But other than that, that's about it, guys. So Utah taking on Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is listed as out in this one for OKC, so Darius Bazley, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Derek Favors got the start. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on in this rotation because it's going to obviously mix things up. This Oklahoma City squad has to take on the Utah Jazz, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league, so that's a little bit scary. This game comes in with a 209 over-under with a 12.5 point spread in favor of Utah. It's going to be hard because Josh Giddey should get a bunch of usage. It's just the matchup's terrible. I really think that he's going to be the one that's the most obvious in play. And then as far as anyone else on the Oklahoma City side, it's going to be Lou Dort, Darius Bazley. Certainly have interest in those guys. And certainly have interest in Robinson Earl. And then after that, I think that's kind of it for the most part. I mean, I'm not really sure that I'm looking to go to anyone else in this game too much. Robinson Earl is certainly going to be a valuable play. But other than that, no one's really just doing a double check here in my projections too. No one's really grading out all too great. The only other guy I would mention is Pokusevski on the Thunder as well. If this game turns into a blowout especially, he could become a tremendous play. He's all the way down to 3-3. He saw 22 minutes last time. Traditionally a pretty good fantasy point producer when he gets some opportunity. We saw that last year. He was able to put up 23 points within 22 minutes in the last game. If this game turns into a blowout, which I do expect it to, he can get a lot of minutes, get a lot of run, get a lot of upside, and he's kind of a sneaky tournament play that I would certainly be having some interest in. So it's another guy. Washington taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. The next game on the slate. This game right now, as far as the total, comes in with a 209.5 over-under with a 3.5 point spread in favor of the Washington Wizards. So expect it to be a pretty slow-paced game here. I'm not getting too excited to target it overall, to be honest. Both teams are completely healthy. Just not exactly looking all that great. Devontae Graham, if he continues to be out, that would make it so that both teams aren't completely healthy. I'd have a lot more interest in Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Josh Hart. But if Devontae Graham's in, honestly, it's going to be a little difficult to be going here. We have Alexander Walker, Josh Hart, Devontae Graham, Jonathan Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram. Like, they're all cutting each other's usage. They're all priced pretty appropriately for their roles. And the game's not expected to stay the close. I mean, this game's not expected to be the fastest pace. And the same rules are going to apply on the other side. You have Bradley Beal, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Kuzma all digging into each other's usage. And the game's going to be slow. So I'm not all too interested in this one. Once again, I'll do a little double check on my first look projections. But I guarantee, yeah, no one's popping off for me in this game. So really not all that interested in this one. Next game, Atlanta taking on the San Antonio Spurs. As far as the total in this one, this game comes in right now with a 220.5 over-under with a 4-point spread in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. So expect it to be a pretty fast game. Expect it to stay close. And this is a game environment I certainly will have interest in. Once again, both teams pretty healthy, though. So the rotation is going to be a little bit too tight. The minutes might be, the usage might be a little bit too spread thin. But these teams' rotations are a little bit different than the other two we just talked about, and this is a different game environment. DeJounte Murray should be in an up-tempo game, doing a very good job of producing at a high rate, finally getting lots of minutes. He put up a triple-double last time. I think he could do it again in this game, so I like him a lot. Same thing with Trae Young on the other side of things. And the fast, up-tempo game, of course, he's going to be the main candidate, so both those guys' upside should be tremendous. Clint Capella and John Collins, one of these guys should have a big game, if not both. They are a little negatively correlated, so chances are you probably want to play either one or the other in your lineups. But at their price tags, to be honest with you, I think you could get away with playing both, so just keep that in mind. Then you have Keldon Johnson, Derek White as secondary options on the San Antonio Spurs side of things that could certainly have some big games here. So they're both interesting options if you want to go there in your tournaments. You have Vassell as well, Thad Young. But that's when things get a little bit dicey here. I mean, things start to get spread out a little bit too much, and Thad Young's minutes aren't even there anymore now that Jakob Poeltl's back. So Jakob Poeltl's obviously going to be the main candidate now. Finally got his minutes back up to where they should be. 31 minutes last time. I think he continues to be underpriced. He was priced in like the 7K to mid 7K range when he was active and playing those minutes before this injury. Now he saw 31 minutes. He's back to normal, and he's only 5'7". So it's like Definitely a very good play here, and I'm certainly going to have a lot of interest in him. Derek White grading out is a great play. He always grades out as a great play, though. And then you have Doug McDermott on the cheap end at only 3.7. Can shoot the 3 ball if he's going to get the minutes that he's been getting lately. He's listed as questionable. But if he gets the minutes that he has been getting throughout the season, I shouldn't say lately, because he did sit out in Monday's matchup. He's been getting like mid-20s to upper 20s minutes. At only 3.7 in this game environment, he could be a great tournament option for you in your tournament lineup. So certainly we'll have interest in him. Right now, I've got him projected for 22 minutes in my projections, and he grades out as a pretty great overall return on your spend here. So, yeah, that's my overall breakdown there. Philadelphia taking on the Golden State Warriors is the next game on the slate. Tobias Harris is listed as questionable in this one. That's certainly big news. Georges Niang will get the start if that is the case. Golden State Warriors have been absolutely tremendous on this season so far. It's a 10.5-point spread. They have been really, really good on defense, too. So this is not the best matchup for the Philadelphia 76ers. Golden State is ranked number 1 in the league overall in points per possession rank. So it's a little bit scary. But if Tobias Harris is out, there's a chance there's not a chance all these guys are going to be underpriced. We're going to have Shake Milton, Georges Niang, Furkan Korkmaz all going to be taking on a lot more usage, all of which are probably going to have to play regardless if this game turns into a blowout. You have Matisse Thybulle as well. This Philadelphia squad would just provide a ton of value. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not going to be the best matchup, but Seth Curry is also listed as questionable. So, if he's out, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, Georges Niang, if him and Tobias Harris are out, these guys are just going to be unavoidable. Even though it's not the best matchup, that someone's got to score on Philadelphia. That's going to be these guys, and they're way underpriced. And then, of course, Tyrese Maxey would become a great play as well. On the other side, I would have a really hard time paying up for the Golden State Warriors' Stephen Curry in this spot. Once again, similar to Giannis. I just think that these guys aren't going to get there because I don't think these other teams are going to have any capability of keeping the games close. So these guys are not going to be out there on the court for their full allotment of minutes. So it's going to be a no for me. Andre Drummond would be a good play as well on the Philadelphia side of things. They're going to be forced into playing him some minutes. So, yeah, and then like I said, on the Golden State Warriors side of things, it's really tough for me to get too excited. If I'm going to anyone, it's probably going to be, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, one of these cheaper starters that could certainly get there in some limited minutes. Andrew Wiggins really been putting up some big games. Jordan Poole's been putting up some big games as well. But you got to keep in mind, these have been fast, up-tempo games that have been staying close. So, not exactly the same environment here. So, Portland taking on the Sacramento Kings. Last game on the slate. This game right now comes in with a total of 224 with a 3-point spread in favor of Portland. This game's going to be very fast-paced. Fastest pace on the slate and one of the fastest pace on the year. We have been very rarely seeing these totals get up into like the 220s. In years past, we've seen like 230s, 240 almost. I think there was a time in the NBA where just the pace was so quick. The way they're calling games, the way things are going now, things have changed. But this game is expected to be one of the fastest paced games. The Sacramento Kings, there is no more Luke Walton in that camp. I liked De'Aaron Fox a lot. I liked the Sacramento side a lot because I think these minutes are going to finally start to be solidified for the starting rotation. We saw that last time out. Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Terrace Halliburton. These guys all played mid to upper 30s. So, pretty obvious as to where we want to go. And we saw Buddy Hield get back involved in the rotation as well, playing 31 minutes. So, Buddy Hield at 5'6", just really, really cheap on DraftKings. It's going to be pretty easy to be wanting to play him in my lineups for sure. So I certainly have interest in him. And I certainly have interest in this whole entire game as mentioned. As far as Maytew's minutes, he had been starting. We saw him play 23 minutes last time out. So he's still getting some minutes. But then we also saw Marvin Bagley get back involved in the rotation. It was only like 12 minutes, so not too worried about that. Also, Larry Nance Jr. has been playing quite a few minutes. But he saw his minutes cut back again last time. So, it's a little inconsistent. Norman Powell, Robert Covington, CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard. We know exactly where all these minutes are going, where all the usage is going on the Trailblazers side. So we want to go to those guys. Yusuf Nurkic at only 6'2". His minutes are somewhat limited, but in a fast up-tempo game, maybe he can get there in those limited minutes. And then Rashawn Holmes on the other side, his minutes really aren't limited. And he's only priced at 6'1", so he's going to be a great option tonight. So, yeah, this game is certainly one you're going to want to be getting a lot of exposure to. Or at least some exposure to would be my recommendation. And that's all from a breakdown here. Quick little look over at FanDuel. Make sure we didn't miss anything as far as the pricing discrepancies. We talked about LaMelo Ball being a lot cheaper over here, so I certainly want to talk about him on FanDuel specifically. I will like him quite a bit. Nikola Vucevic, if he returns on FanDuel, is priced very reasonably. The only problem is if he's going to be limited or not. I have to keep an eye on that news. De'Aaron Fox continues to be too cheap at 7.3. I've been talking about it for quite some time. He's someone that I'm just going to continue to play. It's only a matter of time before he's able to have a big game. His peripheral stats have been way down. He scored 23 points last time. He only got 5 rebounds and 2 assists. So if he was able to rack up some assists and some rebounds, like we're accustomed to seeing him doing, that's possibly like a 50-point game, similar to this Detroit game that we saw him put up, where he put up, 48.7, where he was able to get 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 19 points. That's kind of what we're looking at here, Fox, and I think he can get back to his ways there. So I certainly have interest in him. Christian Wood's priced very reasonably over here on FanDuel as well at only 6.7. If this game's able to stay close, I don't really think it's going to, but even if it doesn't, I think Christian Wood can get there in some limited minutes. He's just really cheap. So he's another guy I'll be looking to. And then overall, yeah, things are looking pretty the same over here. Damian Lillard continues to be a guy I'm certainly going to want to target as well. Fast up-tempo game that we just talked about in that last game. He's priced at 8.8. That's just too cheap for FanDuel. Fred VanVleet in those Toronto guys as well in that good game environment that I talked about. They're going to get a lot of minutes. So Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, all that fun stuff. So yeah, guys, that's my overall breakdown. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be Jakob Poeltl taking on this Atlanta Hawks squad. Way underpriced after returning from injury. He's priced at 5.8 over on FanDuel. On DraftKings, they got him priced at 5.7. Projected to play around 30 minutes in this one against this Atlanta front court in a fast up-tempo game with 220.5 over under. 4-point spread. It's expected to stay close. Atlanta hasn't been the greatest on the glass. Looking at my defensive half-court putbacks tool as well. Should have plenty of opportunity in this one to surpass his price tag in a pretty easy manner. Love this spot for Jakob Poeltl. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. So there we go, guys. Jakob Poeltl, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you are getting very serious about NBA DFS, go and check out my premium package, link below in the description. You get access to all the same tools that I use at a very reasonable price, monthly cost of $19.99. Going to be able to win that back very quickly first night using the tools. So you get access to the Discord chat, all that fun stuff. And yeah, guys, I've been live streaming as much as possible. Not sure I'm going to be able to do it tonight because I'm traveling for the holidays. But if I'm not able to, wish you guys all the best of luck tonight. And we will see you in the next one.